kept my head up, my feet on the ground. I hit the ground running, listen to the sound. Close your eyes, do you see? In your mind, are you free? All your life am I going? Where I need to be, where I need to be.
Home, a place of refuge, connection, tradition, and celebration. Nestled amidst the sparkling Pacific and the rolling hills of Ventura, California, lies a neighborhood with a century-long tale to tell. Welcome to Hobson Heights, a neighborhood that has shaped the soul of this community for generations. Its hidden histories have remained buried until now. Stories of Hollywood movie stars, underground speakeasies, Olympic gold athletes, mysterious ghosts, groundbreaking firsts, spectacular architecture, hidden bomb shelters, and a fire that almost destroyed it all. For decades, the history of Hobson Heights lay forgotten in an underground archive on Ash Street. However, through the generosity of Smith Hobson LLC and their treasure trove of maps, personal letters, design plans, and original photos, we have unraveled the surprising birth of the most iconic architectural neighborhood in Ventura. More than a century ago, the town of Ventura ended at Cemetery Memorial Park, where people now come to watch the sunset or exercise their dogs. But this grassy knoll holds a secret. Once the original cemetery for Ventura, more than 3,000 pioneers and war veterans are still buried here. William Dewey Hobson, the man considered the father of Ventura County for negotiating the separation of Ventura County from Santa Barbara in 1873. He was a visionary, a builder, business owner, and rancher. But in 1923, it was his son, Abraham Lincoln Hobson, who had a vision for the future. Like his father, A.L. Hobson dreamed big. In a small pioneer town of only 4,156 residents, he and his brother William wore many hats. Business owners, real estate developers, road paving contractors, oilmen, and the largest livestock dealers in Southern California. In 1921, quiet Ventura, known for the largest lima bean ranch in the world, experienced an oil boom, and with it came an influx of cash and new jobs. Merchants flocked to Ventura to supply the growing town with the newest fashions, cars, and cigars. The town was bursting at the seams. New residents needed housing. A.L. Hobson was determined to solve the problem. He envisioned creating the first premier neighborhood in Ventura with sweeping ocean views, Italian-inspired houses, and cutting-edge features, like paved roads for cars, underground utilities, and electric lampposts. At first, Hobson considered replacing his charming cottage and stables, built in 1917, with a more spectacular home. Abram and Helen Hobson's house still stands in its modern-day form on Barnard Street, but the landscape and the house looked much different over 100 years ago. Dirt roads, rolling hills, and an old pepper tree were all that stood on this piece of hillside land on the San Juan Barranca. The current owners, Josh and Karen Hagmark, love living in the historic house that the Hobsons named Sol y Mar, Sun and Sea, more than 100 years ago.
My name is Joshua Hagmark. I live at 201 Barnard Way in Ventura, California, and this is the original home of the Hobsons in Ventura. This house needed a ton of work when we found it. It needed the right buyer, and I think that's why it was on the market for so long. And we were just the perfect buyer for that. I'm pretty hands-on and appreciated the history. Didn't have a ton of money, so it gave us an opportunity to get onto one of the best streets in Ventura. Put a lot of sweat equity into this house, trying to bring it up to something that could meet the needs of today's family. Had some jars that came with the house that were probably original. I came across some old medicine bottles when I was digging under the house. We also came across I can only guess it's like a Chumash rock where they used to grind. It's a beautiful rock with a dish almost out of the top. We have that somewhere in the yard. Yeah, we've come across a lot of little treasures as we've been working around the yard. This was their ranch house. Their main house was in Ojai. He was a pillar of the community. He ran cattle. I believe he owned the Patagonia building, which now the Patagonia building used to be where Slaughterhouse. He was big into the lumber industry and bringing wood here to build homes. So I think he was a big player in the pier as well. He's an interesting character in the life of Ventura. So one of the challenges with living in an old house is just how to respect the past, how to capture and keep the past, but also meet the needs of a modern day family. The lanai, which is right behind me, wasn't part of the original house, but was added, and it kind of connected this really neat arbor that went up Barnard Way to the barn, which was located about 2 properties up, and it had vines crawling all over it. It was a really neat addition, and I'm sure the point along with this lanai was to be able to still see the ocean from the house. The house has been an interesting story, a labor of love in many ways. It's been great to live on the street and be a part of that history.
When the 12-acre triangular-shaped Red Rut place next door became available, Hobson jumped at the opportunity. With the help of civil engineer and longest-serving mayor of Ventura, Charles W. Pettit, Hobson fought to bring his vision to life. The development launched with great fanfare. The first parcels developed were named Encino Court. Frank and Florence Brigham were among the first prospective buyers. They would have received the royal treatment, a phone call to number 95, and a private driver would pick them up and take them on a tour of their future home site. For $1,250, they snatched up their own piece of the American dream and started to build. Today, their house is known as the Brigham-Beaman Residence, landmark number 103.
I love walking up to my house. It's very charming with the gate and the door. My name is Anna Strickland. I've lived here since 2004. We love the neighborhood. I love the old houses around here. I always wanted a historic home, and we decided to make it a labor of love. The house was in dire need of being saved. This house was built in 1925, towards the end of 1925. It's landmark 103. And it's the Brigham-Beaman house. This house is not considered a landmark because of the architecture, even though it has some wonderful architecture. It's not significant because of that. It's significant because of the people who built this house and lived in this house. The Brighams were a pioneer family in the county of Ventura. Frank's father started a blacksmith shop in Saticoy, and it was an instrumental shop in the manufacture of agriculture tools. C.F. Brigham was the original Brigham that came to Ventura County. He started the Brigham Iron Works Company, and either he or his son Frank, who was the first owner of this house, built the absolutely beautiful wrought iron gate in the front of my house and the wrought iron railing off the little patio off my dining room. So those are original and untouched. Frank and Florence Brigham bought the house in 1925. They sold it to her daughter and her daughter's husband in 1929. The husband was a Mr. Beaman, and Mr. Beaman and his wife's brother started Brigham-Beaman clothing store downtown. There's beautiful tile work at the entrance of Jimmy's Slice downtown, and that was the Brigham-Beaman clothing store. Really classy shop. Florence Madison Brigham became president of the Ventura County Women's Clubs. The women's clubs were really important in the 20s and 30s because they did a lot of charitable work. But her daughter, who married Mr. Beaman, she was the society editor of the Ventura County Star. You know, we do love being here. I wish it was easier to restore homes, but I do have the landmark status, which is great, but that also gave me the Mills Act. And the Mills Act is really what's allowed us to restore the house.
Soon, other people jumped at the chance to own their own slice of the American dream. The McCord family live in city landmark number 98, known as the Louis Rudolph Residence. This 4,000 square foot Spanish Revival style home was built by Louis Rudolph in 1927, a prominent local builder who designed Ventura's first movie theater. This home was made for entertaining, with a formal living room anchored by a stunning fireplace and formal dining room with stained glass skylight and a butler's bell, long since dismantled due to the McCord children's enthusiastic curiosity. Ventura's own two-time Olympic gold medalist Mike Larrabee grew up swimming in this pool. The stadium at his alma mater, Ventura High School, just a few blocks away, was named the Larrabee Stadium in his honor in 1965. Next door is a well-preserved example of Spanish Revival architecture known as the Bean House that was once owned by John W. Bean, a local physician. Peter Chapa and John Egler have owned this beautiful home since 1986.
I think I was the first person of color or the first Latino to live in the area. One of the reasons I really enjoy living in Ventura is the diversity of the population. However, the population when I first moved here was rather segregated. I'm Peter Chapa, and I was a school administrator in Oxnard and Carpinteria for 36 years. Welcome to my home on Encinal, one of my favorite streets here in Ventura. I've been living on Encinal Court for 36 years. I was able to read through some of the early deeds of the property, and one thing that struck me just recently when I was looking through it was how it had a covenant where only Caucasians could buy in Hobson Heights originally, and the only non-Caucasians that could live in Hobson Heights would be live-ins that worked on the properties. My dad is actually a cowboy. He was drafted in World War II to go to Europe, and he fought under Patton. And I was born at that time. And I was named after an uncle that was named Pedro, who was killed in the invasion of Normandy.
Around the corner stands an exquisite period revival house designed by noted architect Roy Wilson, the first licensed architect in Ventura County. Mr. and Mrs. Nick Hearn Jr. were the first owners. Nick Hearn was an executive at the Edison Company. For over 73 years, 3 generations of the Hearn family lived here. Beautifully preserved by the current owners, John and Julie Ellis, their family grew up appreciating the history and the architecture. The spacious living room with hand-hewn beams was built by Mr. Hearn for music and entertaining. Many of the old features still exist, like the tile mural by Gladding McBean Tile Company, original pocket doors, the formal dining room, a long, dreamy loggia, and the central mission-style courtyard. The Portuguese cork oak trees, once saplings in this photo from the 1930s, now create a canopy over the iconic house. Some houses in Hobson Heights are so loved by their past owners, they never want to leave.
There have been some unexplained happenings here. My name's Rob Epstein, and I live in Hobson Heights. I've lived here since 2010. We were married here in 2015. My wife, Denise, she not only fell in love with the house, but she committed that when she was gonna clean it up and remodel it, that she would keep the original design and keep the basic layout and everything else. So when she purchased this house, she purchased it from the original owner's son, and his mother had this place built in 1928. So he was the only surviving member of his family. When she purchased the house, he had just recently passed away, and he had left in his trust that the proceeds of the home would go to half to the Ventura Museum and half to the Ventura Library. I found some old toys, some marbles, and a bow and arrow set that I recognized when I was a kid. They sold them at 5 and dime stores. It seemed like that was his personal clubhouse down underneath there. There were other things that led me to believe that Les spent time under this house playing like boys do. Shortly after I moved in here, Denise would relate some stories to me of how some unexplained things happened to her in the middle of the night a few times, sounds, things moving, things of that nature. It sounded like a baseball had dropped off of a table and bounced once on the floor. The same sound, you know, a solid thud and then a couple small ones after it. And being an older house, I had just assumed, well, it's settling. It's an old house and it's settling. But there were other things that I couldn't explain that happened, that occurred with Denise and I both actually hearing them. One of them being the toilet flushing for no apparent reason. There were other times I was in the garage working and no one was upstairs. And I heard distinct sound of footsteps. It's an old house, it could settle, but these were rhythmic and they had a cadence to them. It was like 2 to 3 steps across the floor. And Denise heard these same things, and it never scared her. She seemed very comfortable with it. She just convinced herself that it was Les's spirit, and he's still here.
With the expansion of Hobson Heights 1, the neighborhood grew from the east side of Live Oak Drive to the west side of Pacific Avenue. Fast on its heels, Hobson Heights 2 ran up the west side of Lincoln Drive from Main Street, Old Conejo Road, to Ocean View, now Poli Street. More notable families flocked to Hobson Heights to build their dream homes. John and Ida Lagomarsino, both from famous pioneering families, found the perfect spot for their 6 children on Lincoln Drive. Their 3-car garage became the birthplace of a school run by the Holy Cross nuns, and the property hid a secret speakeasy during Prohibition. The current owners continue to add to the fascinating history of this house.
Hi, I'm J.K. Mondel, and I've been in Ventura since 1980. And I came here originally from India on the ship called the Queen Mary. We've been here well over 40 years and enjoyed every minute of it. This address, 63 Lincoln, is a very prominent address in Hobson Heights and also in Ventura County. It's known as the Lagomarsino mansion, the first one. There's 2 in town. There's one further up the street. They moved in just as Prohibition was setting in. And it just so happened that they were the largest liquor distributors in the area. That's where the history really started to become very rich about this property. This home that we live in just been so wonderful and a blessing for myself and our whole family. I really don't know how we ended up in here, because we didn't call on this house. The people called us to buy the house because I'm known to save old houses. I was dating my wife today at the time, and I told her, I said, I really don't know if I should buy this. And she said, why don't you? And I said, you know what, if I do, you better put your seatbelt on. And we've had our seatbelt on since, because this needed a lot of work. And it's just been just wonderful to be able to work on something this magnificent. My main goal with this home was to try to capture just the essence of the life of the people who, when they first built it, the designer was just amazing. It's just one of the most beautiful homes I've ever seen. So the owner who lived here was John Lagomarsino and his wife Ida. And Ida is from the Perched family, who I believe had 11 children. And also John was the vice president of Bank of Italy, that was founded by he and his friend in San Francisco. And he was one of the co-founders when they turned Bank of Italy into Bank of America. It happened right here in Ventura and San Francisco. My grandkids are the great-great-grandkids of John and Ida. About the speakeasy, the city and the county of Ventura didn't want prohibition. So basically all the people in the government and the Lagomarsinos and pretty much everybody had ways of working with it, where they had speakeasies. They had a still in the guest cottage over here. People used to come here and buy the liquor, and that's how they survived. They used to make two types of liquor. One was made out of rye that was more expensive, but the one that they gave to people who couldn't afford the more expensive liquor, it was called Jamaican ginger. It was made out of sugar beets, because back then this was all sugar beets. This property was originally developed by the Hobson family, who was very close to the Lagomarsino family. And Ida Lagomarsino was very good friends with Edith Hobson. And they used to hang out together and do a lot of work for the church. There's a school that was started at this property, and it's called St. Catherine's by the Sea. The original school was started in the carriage house of this house. This home was also used to house soldiers. It's a rich part of the history, because those soldiers, a lot of them might not have survived, and it's very nice for the Lagomarsino family to donate the home to those soldiers. I feel grateful to be alive and be living here as long as I have.
Hobson Heights kept growing. Hobson Heights 3, 4, 5, and 6 were added to the neighborhood. More Spanish and Italian-style homes welcomed guests with their original street numbers and ocean views. Some of these houses even welcomed world-famous guests. In fact, 1637 Pole Street became the refuge of one of the most famous actors of the 1930s.
I am Jennifer Cantor. I am a Hobson Heights resident since 2003. We have named this room the Clark Gable Room. And the reason for that is because we had a visitor to the house. She said, my grandparents used to live here. And she said, a famous person has been in this room. Well, my grandfather used to go to parties up the street on Lincoln. And at that party, Clark Gable was there. And the host of this party told the guests they could not smoke cigars. So Clark Gable and my grandpa, who my grandpa must have invited him down to his house on Poli to go sit in his barbecue room. At that time was called the smoking gun room, to go have cigars. So whenever he would get tired of these parties or wanted to smoke and couldn't, they would come down the hill and hang out in this room. Hence the name, the Clark Gable Room.
The next addition to the neighborhood still presides over Hobson Heights, celebrating each passing hour with a bell that started a rivalry between two churches. Community Presbyterian Church is the oldest Presbyterian church in Southern California, founded in 1869. This fourth and final location, designed by Harold E. Burkett and built in 1929, cost $100,000 to construct. The iconic church sanctuary is steeped in Mediterranean architectural influences, with an exquisite honeycomb ceiling and luminous stained glass windows by the Judson Studios of Los Angeles. the oldest family-run stained glass company in America, still in business for over 125 years. The Ocean View patio used to be the location of the charming Spanish cottage of A.L. Hobson's daughter, Grace, and her husband, Fred Smith. They raised their 3 children there, then donated the house to the church in 1928 for a meeting room. In 1967, the house was torn down to make way for the patio. A rivalry began between Ventura Mission and Community Presbyterian Church. Each wanted to be the first to own a metal church bell. In 1873, CPC won the competition when Mrs. Elizabeth Bard, mother of Senator Thomas Bard, gifted the bell to the church. Until that time, the mission bells were the only bells in Ventura, and they were wooden. The melodic hymn of the modern chimes is still a favorite feature for the Hobson Heights residents. In 1929, the economic boom of the Roaring Twenties came to a screeching halt. The Great Depression, the longest and deepest downturn in the history of the United States, was marked by the stock market crash of 1929. A 23% unemployment rate and huge business losses. Construction practically ground to a halt in Hobson Heights in the 1930s. The Great Depression was no deterrent for dentists Dr. Howard Clow and Dr. Raymond Schmidt. In 1939, they built their dental practice on a vacant lot at the corner of Main Street and Live Oak Drive. Since, 9 dentists have consecutively practiced in the streamlined, modern, and minimal traditional style building. With its smooth finishes and round corners, the building was intended to project a state-of-the-art modernity, perfect for the dental office of the future. The newest owner spent several years bringing the property back to its former glory and uncovering the uncanny similarities he shares with its past owners.
My name is Dr. Jay Ross, and we are sitting in my dental office located at 1691 East Main Street. How I came to find this place is kind of a long story, but I'm originally from Oregon and I moved down to Los Angeles in 2005 to attend USC. Ventura is known for waves, and so I used to come up here and surf. And just while exploring the town, I drove down Main Street and I saw this sign that said dentist, and it had Dr. Edmondson. And I was like, man, that building is so cool and charming. Maybe when I'm done with my naval active duty career, I could ask him to be his associate. And so 4 years later, I was stationed here at Port Hueneme, get done, knock on his door, and basically just says no thank you and closes the door. Long story short, 10 years later, this building came up for sale, and I asked my lovely wife Jacqueline, hey, would you like to sell our house to buy this building and we could renovate it and move my dental office over? She likes all my crazy ideas and said yes, and we ended up occupying the space. So diving into the history of the building, it was actually built by 2 dentists, Howard Clow and Raymond Schmidt. And so in 1939, they built this building and occupied it. And throughout the years of the building, 9 dentists have owned it. And of the 9 dentists, 4 of them were served in the Navy, which I am finishing my 15th year of being a commissioned dental officer in the reserves. And now every day I come here, and even if it's a stressful day, it's just such a wonderful space. And then being part of the community. And it's just nice seeing neighbors walk by and smile and wave. Our goal was to really make it look like a streamlined modern building, very minimalistic approach. And so it was just been a really fun adventure and has actually just brought more life into me practicing dentistry again.
Ronald and Myra Bank were 2 gutsy business owners who refused to let the Great Depression crush their dream. When other people were closing up their shops, the Banks opened their first shop in downtown Ventura called the Shirt Box, which sold shirts, ties, and sweaters. They moved to 63 Ensign Way while their daughter, Paula, was in middle school. They would go on to achieve another goal while living in this house that would change the lives of countless Jewish Venturans.
They started from nothing, absolutely nothing. When they started that store, it was the depths of the Depression had just started. They had one daughter and another one on the way, that was me. They had a storefront and nothing in it. And they just built it between the two of them. They built it from a little cubbyhole on Main Street, which is now a candy store, and over to the sunny side of the street, and then to a lovely store on the Pacific View Mall. They were one of the first tenants there.
They had 2 or 3 stores on Main Street in Ventura, including what is now called El Jardín Plaza. That was their last store on Main Street. Their very first store was this very small square footage store that sold nothing but hats and ties and shirts. It was called a haberdashery. And then it was a full-fledged men's clothing store with suits and sport coats and shirts and shoes. Later on, he took the neighboring store and had twice the square footage. It just kept continuing to be a success.
He was also like to-do artist, and for his store, he always did the advertising at the beginning. He did it all. He did the sketches. He came up with the slogans for the store. So my mother was the bookkeeper for the store.
And he was very prominent in the Jewish community and the synagogue. He was president on 3 occasions and head of the building fund, and in fact started the entire organization with a group of other Jewish men in 1938. And my grandmother was one of the first women to be the president of a Jewish synagogue in California or in the United States. He was an incredibly hardworking man who did not retire and worked at the store until he was age 83 when the store closed in 1989. The fact that Ronald Bank never moved out, he was so smart and active well until he passed at age 102, and he was widower from 2001 to 2008. So for 7 years, having not lived alone for a huge amount of time, like maybe 70 years of marriage, he picked up bachelorhood at age 95, cooked his own food, and lived independently in a house from 95 to 102 at the Ensign Way house.
Couldn't get him out of that house, believe me.
While World War II brought an end to the financial hardships of the Great Depression, it created its own tragedies. Betty Jane Daly's first husband was killed in action when his plane was shot down over Hamburg, Germany in 1944. But Betty found love again with Dr. J. Austin Daly, who later became the medical director of Ventura County Hospital. Together they built a custom mid-century modern house in 1950 designed by architect Randolph Chalfant Head on Marisol Drive, the perfect place to raise their children. Chalfant Head's aesthetic is ever present in the open floor plan, floor-to-ceiling windows, original built-in cabinetry, and the beautiful fireplaces. Now owned by Drew Powers and Ashley Woodall, the house continues to channel the mid-century vibes while embracing its new owners' vibrant personalities. The 1950s marked a period of post-war economic boom, and Hobson Heights got a new neighbor.
My name is Cynthia Thompson, and I am a local historian for the city of Ventura. And it has been my privilege to research this house, which is historically known as the Lavorne Hobson Hoffman House. The house itself is an architectural treasure. It's a man named Amos Lavorne. He not only had investments as the manager of JCPenney's, he had stock in the company, a lot of stock, and in other companies, and he became an extremely wealthy man. And so in 1929, he hired an architect named Harold Perched, who is very, very well known in the history of Ventura. On the night of June 12th, 1932, which was actually the height of the Depression, there was a fire in the house. After getting an estimate and fighting with the insurance companies, Lavorne decided it wasn't worth the effort, and he had lost all of his money, or the majority of his money, in the stock market crash. So the house sat vacant for a couple of years. And along in 1935 comes Ralph B. Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd was called the father of the oil fields because of the fact that he made a tremendous fortune leasing the lands that are along the avenue to Shell oil companies and others like them. But he purchased the house with a specific intent to give it to his daughter, who was Eleanor Lloyd Dees. And so Mrs. Dees and her husband moved into this house about 1937. Mrs. Eleanor Dees was also a very significant person in terms of her contributions. Her money helped build the West Campus of UCLA. She was one of the largest donors for the creation of the Poly Pavilion. She was magnificently connected to the development of education in Los Angeles. However, in 1955, her husband died, and so that led her to Edith Hobson Hoffman, and Edith Hobson Hoffman, her husband died in 1955 of a heart attack suddenly as well. So the women had widowship in connection. But what happened to Edith is a truly dramatic story. Not only did her husband pass away unexpectedly, they had run for years a castle called Rancho Casitas. It was magnificent. It was a Spanish revival. They also raised thoroughbred horses there. In the middle of the 1950s, the United States government took the land upon which Rancho Casitas was built, called eminent domain for it to take it away in order to create Casitas Lake. So today, Rancho Casitas lies at the bottom of Casitas Lake. She knew she had to get a new place to live. And so Eleanor wanted to go back to Los Angeles, and Edith wanted to come here, stay in Ventura, and so it was the perfect house for her. She was one of the greatest contributors socially and financially to the city of Ventura. And most of her contributions were done while she was living in this house. During her tenure here, she helped fund the restoration of the mission in 1957. She was the person responsible for realizing the location of the museum. She was a recipient of the Papal Cross. She asked the Pope if she could build a chapel and have it consecrated, blessed, and she did in this house, which is downstairs and remains today exactly the way it was in the day that it was built. But finally, she died, and when she died, the newspaper called her the First Lady of Ventura.
This government has promised.
Hobson Heights was not immune to the pressures of the Cold War during the 1950s and 60s. Like many Americans at the time who were concerned about the future, one past homeowner on Moneta Drive took the safety of his family into his own hands.
Hi, I'm Bruce Sinclair. You're in the bunker that's located in the back of my home on Moneta Drive in Ventura. It's built into the hillside. It's sort of a feature that came with the house. We had no idea what it was when we bought it. This bunker was actually built to be a bunker, and the home was built in roughly 1962. You know, imagine the Bay of Pigs. Some salesman knocked on the door and said, hey, we're close to a military base. You might want to have a bomb shelter. It's built real deal with recirculating air that was in here. It had a toilet, it had a little shelf for your supplies. Can't imagine a family living in here for more than about 20 minutes. So I decided to make an office out of it. Now the bunker is still here and the kids are gone. I still like it. It's kind of a refuge. I do business in here. It's my Superman changing room if I want to go motorcycle riding. So I can just come out here, put stuff on and take off, come back, change, walk back inside. But I was thinking last night, walking with my daughter and the dog up a mile up above us, and the sun was setting. I thought, this is like paradise. The people up in these homes right now are just sitting and looking out the window. It's no better place.
The house sits on top of a hill but it has an orchard. It comes with an orchard with 50 avocado trees. I did not want to have the responsibility of 50 avocado trees to take care of. And I told my wife, it's a really nice house, but I'm not going to buy a house that I have to be responsible for 50 avocado trees. Did we buy the house? Yes, we bought the house.
We moved into this house with no children living at home. They were living at college. And even so much that the very first year for Thanksgiving, when they both came home for Thanksgiving, they weren't sure of which house it was. So kind of kept it hidden from them. That's great. But they found us anyway.
In a devastating turn of events, on December 4th, 2017, the residents of Hobson Heights, along with the rest of West Ventura County, faced a fierce adversary, the Thomas Fire. While unbridled flames swept through the neighborhood, several families saw their much-loved homes turned to ashes.
So we were sleeping, and it was at 11-ish, and they were pounding on the glass walls to wake us up. And they said, come on, we have to leave. We have to evacuate because the fire is above on the hill, and it's coming down this way.
Imagine the feeling of being told, we're going to be leaving in 2 or 3 minutes. What do you want to take?
He couldn't think what to take. He knew we had some artwork on the walls. He didn't know, he couldn't make a decision.
But we really thought we were going to be right back.
So we took the 2 cars that we could drive because the dog refused to drive the 3rd car.
And at 2 a.m., I get a ping on my cell phone, and it was a text message from Mike Tracy, who lives across the street, and it said, Jerry, your house is fully engulfed. On television, we saw our house on fire. We woke up in the morning and realized that I didn't have a change of underwear. That's it. At that point, I didn't own a rubber band. I had nothing except a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, and sneakers, and that was it. What a feeling, what a feeling. I lost my house, but unlike other people, I had a builder that I knew and trusted, so that was very nice. I think this is a really nice house. I'm very proud of it, except for the bad part. It was fun creating something and watching it happen, and then it was fun filling it up with stuff. So everything we have is new. It's exactly what we wanted. It's, over the years we got, well, what chair can we get that'll match that table or whatever? Now, got everything the same day.
So you hold these precious things that you think are so important, and in reality, they're not that important, but you still miss them.
One home, kept in the same family for generations, was lost to the flames.
We were moving up here. We had a new baby and a 2-year-old and lived in Orange County. And one day came up around Marisol up to Monita, and we look up, and this house that we'd always loved with a big sycamore tree in the front, long Spanish, had a for sale sign. And I went, oh my God, that house is for sale. Beautiful on the outside. The courtyard is still very much the same as it was even now, and with the little original fountain in the back behind the living room, big fireplace, French doors in the living room, big wooden doors that closed the living room off. When Kim and Bill bought the house, everybody was thrilled. The whole family was thrilled because we didn't want this house to go to anybody else. And all she had to promise was that she would have Christmas here every Christmas Eve, which we have done, except we had to have one at my house because there was no house here, maybe 2.
When we first moved here when I was a kid, I mean, what I remember, now I'm gonna get emotional about the house. It was just a great neighborhood, and sorry, I'm gonna take a second.
The family attachment to this house, because her family had lived here for so long. I mean, that's a long time, only the second family to own the home. and then to be the ones that owned it when we lost it in a fire, that was really tough for us too, to have it, lose it like that. And I actually felt too that maybe I didn't try hard enough to save the house, even though we did come back and try to fight the fire to save the house. We were covered in ash and smoke and holes burned in our shirts from trying to save the house. So we did our best as non-professional firefighters, but in retrospect, I just feel like maybe we could have done a little better. And so I have that regret. And even Kim, her regret is that there were so many family heirlooms. We couldn't get our photographs. They were locked in the garage. The power was out and the garage door was stuck shut. I had a 57 T-Bird that my dad had given me as a wedding present that burned in the fire. I mean, so there was the emotions, we're several years past that point now, but the loss that you feel, it's a forced decluttering, which may be a good thing, but all the personal stuff that burned, all of that stuff, all the family memories that were in this house, it's amazing loss. It's almost like losing a family member kind of thing, and to have something that was important to the neighbors, the family, to yourselves, and then all the stuff that was in it to get lost. That's an emotional process to go through, so I can.
And so we did try and build this house, thinking of the old house, having it look similar on the outside and the layout, so that we didn't come downstairs in the morning and go, wait, the kitchen's over there now, it used to be over there. It's all in the same place. And it has a lot of the same feelings and features of the old house, although we did do what we wanted to do to make it livable for the way we live now. We knew if we didn't do it right, we would be sad about it. And we didn't want to be in our house sad that we lost the old house. We wanted to be in here remembering the old house, but happy with what we made.
We wanted to keep as much of the original structure as we could.
Left, pretty much.
I feel like there's some
heart
of the home is still under the house, and if you look through a panel, you can see some of those old walls in there. And we were able to keep the one wall in the courtyard that was an original fountain wall, and we just retiled the fountain. And then the light fixtures that we were able to save from the rubble, wrought iron was the only thing that survived the fire, so the front door. So anything like that we could keep of the original house to kind of keep the heart of the home here, we did. And then I think what made me, I'm gonna get emotional.
Yeah, here, I'll take over. We did the double doors to the living room that we had in the old house. That was added. It wasn't in there at first, and we realized, oh shoot, that was something in the old house that was really special, even though we only really closed them on Christmas or when we had special company and wanted to keep the kids out or whatever. When we have everybody here, it really does feel like, even though we miss the old house terribly, this house does feel like home, and all those memories are still here.
Amidst the devastation of the Thomas Fire, a new powerful testament to the deep-rooted love for Hobson Heights emerged. Despite the challenges, people chose to stay and rebuild, driven by an unwavering affection for their neighborhood. Their resilience spoke volumes, echoing a sentiment shared by many. This is our home, our community. We won't be defeated. Their determination to rebuild not only physical structures, but also the bonds that make Hobson Heights a cherished haven exemplifies the extraordinary spirit that has defined this remarkable neighborhood for over 100 years. As the sun sets over the enchanting streets of Hobson Heights, the echoes of the past resonate, reminding us of the extraordinary lives and stories that have graced this neighborhood. In celebrating its 100-year journey, we leave with a profound understanding. The indomitable spirit of Hobson Heights lives on, etched in the hearts of those who call it home, ensuring its vibrant history and architecture continue to inspire generations to come.